Hello everyone. If you have the Spanish test tomorrow, like me, you'll want a really fast way to review. And I'll show you that this is the fastest way to understand the imperfect versus the preterite, plus all the conjugations and tricks that Ms. Marcucci is going to test. Okay, so think of it like this. Preterite is a finished action. It's a snapshot, a photo. The imperfect is a background or ongoing one, so it's more like a video or a movie. If it happened, then it's preterite. If it was happening or was like, it's imperfect. So, DUMWEI. Imperfect is used for DUMWEI. This is the most important thing. DUMWEI is an acronym. D stands for descriptions. People, places, things. So, words like era, tenía, había, hacía. Yo era bajo. Tenía ojos verdes. Había un perro. Okay, next we have you. That's used to / habits. So these are repeated actions. The keywords for you would be always, often, every day. Yo jugaba todos los días. Okay, next we have M, mental verbs. So these would be like pensar, creer, saber, querer. Yo pensaba, yo sabía, yo quería. Next we have W, was, were, ing. So these are ongoing actions. Yo caminaba, I was walking. Estaba comiendo, I was eating. And then we have E, emotions. These are feelings. So me sentía triste. Estaba feliz. And then we have lastly I, interrupted actions. Yo dormía cuando el teléfono sonó. This is imperfect because it's in the background and preterite. So the imperfect is interrupted by the preterite. So yo dormía cuando el teléfono sonó. I was sleeping when the phone rang. Okay, next we have the imperfect conjugations. So imperfect is actually pretty easy. So for AR, it's aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban. Okay, so keep in mind that for abamos, the first A has the accent. This is usually not the case for other conjugations, but in the imperfect, it's like that for the AR. So examples would be hablaba, hablabas. Next we have ER, IR conjugations. So for this one, it's ias, ia. Let me restart. Ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. So keep in mind that for this ER-IR conjugation, the first I, you have to put an accent on all of the conjugations. So ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. All I's have an accent. Comía, vivía. Okay. So next, it's fortunate to know that in the imperfect, there's only 3 irregulars. That's ser, which becomes era, and then we have ir, which becomes iba, and also ver, which becomes veía. Only 3, that's it. So some extra imperfect rules. So these are always imperfect. Time, eran las dos. Age, tenía 10 años. Weather, hacía frío. There was, había. Okay, next let's go into the preterite. So you use preterite for specific time, like yesterday, last night, one-time actions, number of times, for example, 3 veces, beginning / ending, empezó, terminó, sudden events, de repente, and series of actions. So, for example, salió, fue, cambió, left, went, changed. So, preterite conjugations. For AR, we have haste, o, amos, hastes, aron. The and o have accent, but the rest don't. So, hasta o, amos hastis aron. And then we have the ER-IR. So for this one, it's iste yo, imos hicieron. E and yo have accent. So for E, there's only one letter. It's E, which is I with accent. And then yo is I-O. The accent falls on the O. Yo. Okay. So there's some irregulars that you should probably memorize. So we have tener, which in the preterite becomes tuve. Estar becomes estuve. Poder becomes pude. Poner becomes puse. Querer becomes quise. Saber becomes supe. Venir becomes vine. Hacer becomes hice, hizo. Okay, so there's some meaning changes too. Pude, as the meaning managed to. No pude, couldn't. Quise is tried. No quise, refused. Supe, found out, and tuve gets the meaning received. Okay, so there's some special preterite patterns. So yo changes. Car. So car guards are verbs, which are verbs that end with car, gar, zar. So car becomes que, which is que with accent. Gar becomes ge, which is gue with accent. And then zar becomes se, which is e with accent. Okay, so for example, tocar becomes toque, llegar becomes llegué, empezar becomes empecé. Okay, next we have some E to Y changes. So for example, leer becomes leyó and leyeron. Leer, it's spelled L-E-E-R, but here it becomes L-E-Y-O with accent and L-E-Y-E-R-O-N. Okay, so now we have some stem changes, but thankfully they're only in the third person. So, they are dormir, which becomes durmió and durmieron, and sentir, which becomes sintió and sintieron. Okay, so imperfect versus preterite. This is where most test questions come from. So, for example, yo caminaba cuando empezó a llover. Caminaba is ongoing, which means it's imperfect. Empezó is sudden, so it's preterite. So the rule is, if it's in the background and it's ongoing or habitual, it's imperfect. And if it's a quick action and it's a list, then it's preterite. Okay, so some triggers that you should know for imperfect and preterite. So for the imperfect, it's always, often, every day, was, were, ing, and feelings and descriptions. For the preterite, it's yesterday, one time suddenly, and number of times. Obviously, this isn't all of them, but gives you a good picture of them. So, if you get stuck, you should definitely ask, was it ongoing or repeated? That would signal that it's imperfect. Did it happen once and end? That would be preterite. And remember, imperfect is in the background, it's a movie, while preterite is a snapshot, a quick photo. So, if you understand this, you're honestly set for the test. Best of luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.